Hi guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, very recently, we have had some leaks of specs of the Xiaomi Mi A2. So what I've decided to do, as it's going to fit into that budget category, I'm going to actually compare it to a very popular smartphone right now that launched around a month ago, and a lot of you guys have been asking me for a video on it as well, and that is of course the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5. So let's get straight to it. Hi guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Like I said, today we're talking a comparison between the Xiaomi Mi A2, also known as the Xiaomi Mi 6X, and we'll get to that, versus the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5. Now, Xiaomi have a history of flooding the market with many different products, all within a similar sort of price range, and it can be very head freeze. And it can be very confusing for the consumer, which is you guys, and that's of course why I turn my attention to these two smartphones today, very much in that budget area. I am going to be doing a full review on the Redmi Note 5, my use after 1 month video very soon, so if you are interested in that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell as well, so that when I post that video, you are notified so you can get your hands on it. So on my right, your left, we're going to have the Xiaomi Mi A2 6X / and on my left and your right, we're going to have the Xiaomi Redmi Note 5. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the name just so that you don't get confused. I'm going to refer to it as the 6X, but it may also be known as the Mi A2 to you because it's the second edition of the Xiaomi Mi A1. Now, you'd expect the A2 to make sense. However, A1 on the original actually stood for Android 1, which was the operating system that it used. It was a very popular phone because it ran stock Android and it was a very cheap device. I did actually do 2 reviews on it, one singular and one on my top 7 budget phones for 2018. So I knew for a fact that when the successor came out, which it's going to be a very popular phone. Now, I don't think it's going to be called the A2 because obviously A1 stood for Android 1, so Android 2 just doesn't make sense. And on the leaked photo of the specs, we have the codename 6X, so that's what I'm going to go with for the benefit of this video starting from now. So according to the latest leak, we are going to see a 5.99 inch display, and it's going to be an IPS panel, 2160 by 1080 in that 18:9 ratio, which we become accustomed to. So right now we're going to flip to the Redmi Note 5. Now, the Redmi range are very popular amongst people who are looking for a fairly cheap device with between 100 and 200 sort of pounds and some really pretty decent specs. On the Redmi Note 5, 5.99 inch display, again we're going to see 18:9 ratio, and again we're going to see a 2160 by 1080 display. The Xiaomi Mi 6X, we are likely to see Android Oreo on this device, again according to the leaks, whereas on the Redmi Note 5 when it was released, it was running 7.1.2. The 6X is going to be running with a Snapdragon 626 processor, whereas the Redmi Note 5 is going to be running with a Snapdragon 636 processor. On the 6X, we're going to be looking at a 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, and on the Redmi Note 5, we have a 4GB of RAM with 64GB of storage. If we jump onto the cameras, the 6X is going to come with, again according to the leaks, a 20 megapixel and an 8 megapixel dual camera, and we are likely to see that positioned on the top left in a vertical position, much like we've seen on the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2S release. They will come with an f2.0 aperture and an f1.8 aperture. Whereas again, if we flip to the Redmi Note 5, a 12 megapixel and a 5 megapixel camera with f2.2 and f2.0 aperture. If we flip to the front on the 6X, again, we're going to be looking at a 20 megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture. And again, we're going to flip to the Redmi Note 5 and it has a 20 megapixel camera with f2.2 aperture. Now we come on to a very controversial part of the specs for the Xiaomi Mi 6X or Mi A2, whatever you want to call it, and that is the battery, because if this is true, if this leak is actually correct, it could really affect sales, in my opinion. The battery on this leak for the Mi 6X is reported at 2,910 milliamps. Definitely smaller than the Redmi Note 5, which comes in at a 4,000 milliamps. So that's sort of most of the specs out the way. Firstly, let me know what you think about those and whether you think the battery, for example, if it does come out at under 3,000 for the Mi 6X or Mi A2, whatever you want to call it, is that going to be a problem for you? Do any of the specs favor one over the other in your opinion? Which are you you looking to get your hands on. I'm going to be going into far more detail on the Redmi Note 5. I am due to actually do a video on it in more detail. It will be my review after 1 month of use. And of course, I will be going into more detail on the 6X-A2. As and when the leaks arrive, I will bring those videos to you. So if you are interested in both of these phones, or smartphones in general, or tech in general, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that every time I post a video, you are notified so you can get all of the latest and greatest news in the world of tech, unboxings, reviews, software, apps, all of the main stuff, daily content on this channel. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. Say ASBYT, peace out.